here, and welcome to TN Talks. Now, I'm a South African tennis player who has been training at the Juan Carlos Ferrero Tennis Academy in Spain for the past 3 years, home of 3 former number ones in the world: Juan Carlos Ferrero, Carlos Alcaraz, as well as the number 1 in the world for paddle, Sancho Gutierrez. Now, being in that environment, I got to see the level of professionalism required to becoming a successful athlete. But it wasn't just tennis pros or paddle pros grazing the facilities. No, I'm talking Netflix writers, Michelin star chefs, sports managers, you name it. The insights through these conversations, regardless of their field of expertise, shifted mindsets, changed habits of not just me, but everyone around us. So this is where TN Talks comes in. We all want to be successful, right? But sometimes we don't know how or where to even begin the process. So join me by subscribing below as we dive into the stories of different successful people and find out what makes them tick. It's a journey where we can potentially find the key to your success story. So let's get to it. I'm very excited to introduce today's individual. At the age of 21, she stands as one of our country's best 400-meter runners. Although considered to be young, her journey has not always been smooth sailing. But she has learned to master the phrase, where there's a will, there's a way. So without further ado, the former South African junior number 1, the current women's number 4, silver medalist for the African Championships, yes, Africa the continent. She's fast, she's quick, and can get from here to here in just 53.63 seconds. I introduce to you Amy Naude. Thank you for driving down here from Durban North. I mean, I was a little surprised though, because I heard you were at Belito. Are you there? Explain to me a little bit about your background, moving around.
So I was born in Newcastle, and we then moved to Belito in 2011ish, and from there in 2021, after I matriculated 2020, I moved to Durban to be closer to the track, to the gym. My whole life was that side.
But alone from the age of what age?
Yes, so I matriculated 18, so from 19 I've been living alone.
Your parents are in a whole different country, not even in South Africa. Don't you get lonely?
It does get lonely at times. Luckily I've still got family in Howick.
Yeah.
My aunt and uncle and cousins are still there. So I do have them as company. Got the people at the track, they basically my family.
I mean, they've been with you a lot because I play tennis, also a solo sport. And there's a lot of emotional support, a lot of physios and everything that gets involved. But who kind of got you into the running?
So it was actually a teacher. It was when I was in grade 6. His name was Mr. James. He saw me at our school's athletics the one day, and he said to me I should go for training. So he gave me my current coach's number, Victor Vaz, and said there's a club in Durban called Phosphate. So I remember the one Friday night we phoned my coach and said I want to start. That Saturday I was at the track, and
you loved it.
History.
So you did other sports before you zoned into running?
Yes, so I did all sports, everything you can imagine, and then in grade 7 I chose to specialize completely. So I've just done athletics since 2015.
When was the actual decision to be like, I'm going to zone into this? Because you were doing everything. Obviously you weren't like a lot of like other athletes or professionals would be like, no, from the age of 4 I'm going to be pro. That wasn't the case for you. So what kind of switch that made you realize that I'm going to be successful?
So it was kind of my performance in 2015, 2016, which I hope I get my facts right here. 2016 I won my first essays, I'm not wrong. And from that moment on, I just started to run really, really well. And then, advice from my parents, from my coach, we kind of just decided that I can do this, I can actually make it happen. The problem with doing other sports is you risk injuries, and hockey, netball, it's knees, it's ankles, you know, you're just opening up that door. So
like when you're younger, then it changes. But I mean, on the topic of injury, here I am, hurt my shoulder the other day. I mean, you haven't had injury-free career kind of luck. So do you want to elaborate a bit on that? Or?
So during school, I was pretty much injury-free. I had a couple of niggles here and there, just little things, that sort of thing. And then my first major injury was my stress fractures, which I think after COVID, I went onto the road because we couldn't get to the track. I did a lot of road work, which is a lot harder than the track surface I'm not used to. And then I just continued to train throughout 2021, and eventually the pain just became unbearable.
Yeah.
And then after an MRI, we found I had 2 stress fractures.
How long was the recovery from that?
So I went into a moon boot, crutches, end of 2021. We tried to then get me ready for the 2022 season, but unfortunately there just wasn't enough time. I mean, we need a big training block.
Yeah.
So then we just decided to call off the season, the whole of 2022. End of 22, well, mid 2022 I started training again. Shins got sore again, end of 2022, which is why this year, 2023, just hasn't been a great year for me.
I mean, and every year, years comes like, no, this year's my year, and then by February or March, something happens. Trust me, I know all about it. I had a year in my hip, 6 months my shoulder, but I went from being number 1 in the country. I'd been the World Cup, the world was my oyster, and then boom. Now here I am, fast forward, 18 years old, and I feel like I've got nothing to my name. So how does that ever happen to you?
Oh, definitely. It was actually, I was quite surprised when you messaged me. I actually felt quite honored because, you know, in school, I've achieved a lot. And to be quite honest, I was one of the best in the country for years and years and years. And I went to African champs and I went overseas. And it was hard to go from being on the top to quite literally being nothing. And nobody knows your name anymore. Nobody cares. You know, when you get a message from a friend saying, have you made it yet? Are you an elite? And the answer is no. It's very hard because I went from everything to literally nothing. So when you messaged me, I was so honored. I was like,
I boosted your ego.
I was like, there's still actually someone who's interested.
I mean,
it's
because I understand, like, it's not an overnight success.
No,
You build it. And I think that's why a lot of people stop. I mean, they try it, give them all the credit for trying, because it does take a lot to say, okay, I'm going to try this. But I think when you say, I'm going to try, people expect 1 or 2 years. And I know your name really well because we went to school, the same school. Your name was everywhere. And then it did go a bit quiet, so I was curious to hear a bit about that story. But yeah.
And my biggest thing, I always replay this in my mind. So stupid, but if I had to see a teacher or an old friend and they ask me, what are you doing? That's kind of what keeps me on track, helps keeping me to push. Because I want to do great things and I want to live up to what I did in school. Unfortunately, it's just a really, really rough patch.
I mean, for me, I found it embarrassing. One of the reasons I didn't really want to come on sometimes is because I can't face those people. But also, like you say, like a teacher, I bumped into Mrs. K. I'm not sure if you remember Mrs. K.
Yes.
And she's like, darling, when am I coming to Wimbledon? I'm like, drink your whiskey, keeps you young, because it's not going to be soon. How did you control that?
It was really, really hard. For me, the hardest moments were when all my training partners were shipping off to SA champs. Then they were going to Europe and they were competing in all the events that I'd wanted to compete in.
You're kind of watching them and like, no, that should be me.
So it was hard. I had a lot of free time. And
I mean, it sounds weird, but we don't have a lot of free time.
no,
Like, we live in the gym, we live. So what do you do? Like, something happens, you're like, oh my word, I'm so lazy.
it is so hard because, I mean, you spend a good 3-4 hours a day training.
Yeah.
And to now not to have all that extra time, I didn't know what to do with myself. It definitely took a big toll on me mentally, which unfortunately it then affected relationships. Because, you know, you do take it out on the people closest to you.
Yeah, I actually didn't think of it that way. I mean, you either go inwards or you lash out. I mean, there's no middle.
The thing is, you just have to remember everybody's on their own journey.
Yeah.
So I look at you and I'm like, oh my word, you've been in Spain
Yeah.
playing tennis. I'm like, that is so awesome. And then I look at myself and I'm like, I'm still in Durban. But then you look at other people and you're like, oh, they're at varsity.
True. It's like
So
everyone on their own mission.
everybody is on their own mission. And to be honest with you, nobody really is worried about what you do.
Like, we're not as important as we think we are.
That is the hard truth. Is that nobody actually cares, to be quite honest with you. It's the hard truth, and I've had to say it to myself a couple times. As long as I'm happy with where I am and the progress I've made, and I've got my own goals, that's all that matters. Everybody.
And that fulfills you.
Well, I try to fulfill it.
Well, I mean, you cry when you win, you cry when you lose. I'm battling to find what makes you happy.
It's not always easy, but you do have to remember that.
What does make you happy, though?
Oh, that's a tough one. It's a mix of things. For my main thing has always been running well, obviously performing and training well. Those have been my top things that have kind of what's made me happy. But I'm starting to realize you've got to find other things that make you happy. Because if it doesn't go well, like the past 3 years, you have to find other things to make you happy. You have to.
Yeah, I mean, I play the ukulele. Like, desperate times, desperate measures.
Exactly.
In your opinion, like the greatest athlete in the world, who do you think? It doesn't have to be in running, but like someone that you just were like, wow.
I've always looked up to Alison Felix. She's a 400 athlete. She's the most decorated American woman. So I've always found her story amazing.
Well, what's her story?
She's just achieved so much, and then she got pregnant, and how people wanted to, you know, sponsors wanted to drop her, and how she's just come back from it, and she's carried on her name. I have a bit of obsessive nature when it comes to training.
Have you always been like that? I mean, you look at Kobe Bryant's motivational videos, it's like obsessed. You got to be obsessed with what you love. I mean, that's, I think, one of the major keys of being successful.
For me, the love has always been there for athletics.
So the obsession came from love.
Yes. So I've kind of seen athletics. It's kind of, you know how you wake up, you brush your teeth, you go to bed, you brush your teeth.
Yeah.
It's a habit.
Yeah.
It becomes more a habit than anything else. And
So you never really think about like, today I actually don't feel like it. It's just kind of a habit you go into.
There's definitely days where I don't feel like training. For sure, 100%. But it's a habit.
Yeah.
It's in me all the time.
Obviously the tough times have taught you so much. I mean, you're still young. I mean, I know I'm younger, but 21 as an athlete is...
Normally you got to give yourself till about 25 to 26. I feel like that's when you, as a woman, that's when you hit your prime time.
Yeah. But I mean, it costs a lot of money, it costs a lot of time. Like the patience for me, that's tough. Like I'm 18 and I'm like thinking, oh my goodness, if I'm not number one in the world next year, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. But I mean, that's not realistic. So what's your plan to kind of keep those years going? Obviously finance isn't something that's spoken about. But...
So I've been fortunate enough where, you know, my parents have always supported me financially.
From when you were like 12?
They said to me, if you want to carry on athletics, carry on. If you want to stop athletics, stop athletics. They support me no matter what. They have, gotten to the point where it's time for their retirement, and they obviously have clamped down on me getting X amount of money, which is understandable. That's natural.
Because you're gonna do a side hustle as well. Like you're studying now, so how are you gonna like do both at the same time?
So I'm studying online and I'm coaching. I'm actually an athletics coach. I wasn't all pay, which unfortunately wasn't flexible enough. Then I moved towards schools, but unfortunately I just didn't enjoy the netball and the hockey.
Run, come on, faster! Why are you so slow?
Exactly. So I've chosen to just focus on athletics because then I have people who want to be there.
And you have a lot of knowledge about the sport. It's not like doing something like,
It's not
today
like
we're going to do push-ups.
Exactly. So I've gotten to the point in my life where I just think, my parents have sacrificed so much for me. I need to take a step back and sacrifice for them.
It's a good way to look at it. I mean, that pressure, how do you deal with that?
For me, the pressure mainly, actually, it all just comes from myself.
Yeah, you put that on yourself.
For sure, nobody has ever really put pressure on me like that. Like, you have to run well. If you don't run well, this is going to happen. It's never been like that.
So what's your pressure? What?
It's just me always wanting more.
Never satisfied.
It's never ever enough. We actually made a joke about it the other day at the track, but actually wasn't a joke. 99% of the time I'm not happy with my runs. Like, it doesn't make sense because I've achieved quite a lot, but I've never been happy. I mean, I've won essays and I've sobbed after races and sobbed.
Didn't you break that Portuguese record?
Yes, I broke the Portuguese 300-meter record and I sobbed afterwards. Won essays, juniors and youth, and I sobbed. So it's always just me, always wanting more.
So guys, if she wins, don't give her a trophy, just give her some tissues.
Yeah.
She's gonna be crying.
It's true.
Oh, but I mean, that's what it takes. It's gotta be weird. Something's gotta be different about you. So, I mean, Kobe Bryant has working hard, first one in the gym. I mean, that's kind of my thing I try to do at the academy, first in the gym, last to leave. Then you have other people that maybe focus on recovery or are obsessed about sleeping. I mean, what's your little thing that makes you different, that makes you above?
So, I think mine is just every decision I make is it going to affect my running? That's
Everything.
Everything.
Like, I'm about to eat this cookie, that ain't going to help me tomorrow. So,
every single decision I make, is it going to affect my, like for me, going to family for the weekend, how's it going to affect my running? Am I going to be able to train? I wanted to skydive for my 16th birthday.
and you're like,
I'm like, actually, I
the
can't
ground's
do
a little
that.
too hard. Yeah.
What happens if I twist my ankle? So every decision I make is based off of running.
I mean, they do say athletes are pretty selfish, but it's true. We are our own business.
Exactly. It's all, especially in, as you know, not a team sport, it's an individual sport. It's all on you.
Exactly.
If you don't run well, it's on you. If you don't play well, it's on you. It's not like you've got 7, 8, 24 other people to pick up slack if you have a nice day. So it's on you.
And then that doesn't really make us popular.
No.
I mean, did you have a balance with social life, with all of that? Especially in high school, I mean, that's where you make the most fun, the most friends.
The short answer, no. There was no balance. It was literally study, train, study, train, study, train. I honestly didn't have a social life.
Well, do you regret like not exploring that side of life?
I mean, you know what, you can look at it and regret it, but then I think, who at my age got to go run for South Africa at Ivory Coast, who got to go to Portugal, who got to go to Italy. I've had so many experiences. I try not to look back and regret it.
I mean, for me, I'm traveling a lot now with tennis. I've been to Morocco, like who goes to Morocco, but it's very difficult to come back here and try to explain that experience to people because no one understands that, and it's very difficult. Like something might happen that's funny in your day, and you try to tell your dad, no one laughs. It's like you have to be there. It's tough in the way that I want to share these experiences with people, especially my family, but I can't.
It does get, lonely. But you just gotta find those people. Like for me, it's my coach. He's been with me now for 10 years.
So you're very close with them?
Yes, very close. I've got the people at the track, my training group. Over the years, your friends come and go.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's just
Sad reality, but it's
and not many people understand the sacrifice that goes into it.
So I mean, if you had to go back to that grade 6 person, and when someone walked up to you and was like, come to the track, you had no idea what you're walking into.
No idea, not one clue. But I wouldn't change it.
Would you suggest this lifestyle to someone else?
It's definitely not.
You took a long time to answer that. Too long.
It's not for the faint-hearted, and I don't want to be cocky, but it's not easy. It's not. It is a hard.
Give me a high five. You've done it, or you're doing it.
I'm doing it, and it opens up doors. I mean, I had the opportunity to go to the university in the UK, Loughborough, best university in the world for sports science, to go to Australia. I applied for South African universities, and if you've got results, you can pretty much
Own the
go
world.
wherever
I mean,
you
I'm going to
want.
college, and my sister's in college because of sport.
And varsities, they want athletes, because at the end of the day, the athletes get their reputation out, gets their name out. So if you love the sport and you have a passion for it, I'd say go do it, because it's going to open up a lot of doors for you.
I mean, I never really had the mentality of going straight to college. Obviously now I've done my research and I've realized that college is such a good option because you have all your training facilities, you have your races, you have, and for me, the matches, and like a lot of people now are going through college and coming out. And then there's also the extreme of, that's it. I can't do all of these sacrifices that I've done if it's just going to end in college. And that's, I mean, for me, there's been a lot of moments when I'm just like, this is worth it. So for you, has that ever crossed your mind, like the doubting of the journey?
Oh, all the time.
Oh, you shouldn't say that. But it's honest.
It's, to be quite honest, it does cross your mind. I mean, you sacrifice so much, and
Sometimes you get so little.
like my coach says, it's an unforgiving sport. I mean, nobody sees me at the track. Not being able to walk for 30 minutes after session, lying there crying because you're in so much pain.
No, and no one cares actually. Until you're giving your results, no one cares.
Nobody cares.
I think now in society, like, there's so many different ways in which you can become somebody that when something's not going your way, you switch. Like, honestly, I think athletes I have a whole new respect for, because it's very difficult to become successful in that. I mean, they're millions, especially running. In Africa, to get a silver medal in African running, my goodness, that's something.
There's a lot of people, but then when I coach, it's like I sometimes talk about Usain Bolt. I mean, everybody should know who Usain Bolt is. Some of those children had no idea who that was.
What?
Yeah.
Everyone does. I mean, I'm not a big runner fan, but I mean, hey.
Exactly. Like some of them. So it's a very difficult one, but as long as you do it because you love it, there's always going to be people better than you.
Sure.
That's reality. So
Except if you say Bolt, but
Exactly.
but his record will be broken.
I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm not running for time, I'm not running for place, I'm running for time. Because
I mean, you're going for split seconds,
split second.
working hours to break splits.
Point 1, point 2. You can't even clap that fast.
No.
So I just run for time now. So you got to find in your sport what you want to achieve and set your own goals and just look at that. can't look at other people. The minute you start doing that, that's when you become negative. That's when I became negative.
Yeah.
Is when I looked at everybody else and I was comparing myself to them. Like, they're running 51s. How did they go from that time to that time? They doing this, and then I became negative.
Everyone grows up with a role model. You obviously compare yourself to them. So who was yours?
So I've actually got two. They're actually in my training group.
Oh, that's convenient.
Yeah. So the one is Jenna Lofstrad. I've seen her train and train and train. She also had an excellent youth, injured time and time and time again.
She does 400 meters too?
No,
or?
she does 800. So I just see how she trains and I look up to that.
Yeah.
It's just, I've never seen anything like it. It's incredible. And then the other one is Zakiti. He's a 400-meter athlete in our training group. I've seen him, start with my coach and how he's gone through the process and how it's taken a little bit of patience and time, and he's achieved amazing things. I mean, he won a diamond, he's been to world champs, been to Olympics, and I've seen where he's come from. So those are my two.
I mean, the Olympics, and yet he doesn't speak. It's like, man, if people knew what the power, like in our area,
Exactly.
just on our doorstep, I think the sport in South Africa or even in the world would just escalate. I mean, it's a bit threatening. We don't want more people in my field. It's too hard enough. I don't want more people playing tennis. Please, no. It's the worst sport in the world. I'm kidding. So what's your next step? Like, obviously, I mean, you're struggling now with a bit of the injury, but you're now training normal, more or less?
Yeah, so this is the first time, and I would say, since I've been injured,
Yeah.
2020, that I
2020, that's 3 years.
trained in 2020.
But was it stop-start or just consecutive?
Oh, it was just on the injury.
That's horrible.
So since then, it's the first time I've trained consistently well. I've always trained consistently, but it hasn't gone consistently well. So it's actually the first time in 3 years. It's actually looking good.
2024 is your year.
That's the goal.
Yeah, because we were speaking about it earlier, about how it's like seasonal, how you have a few months off of like pre-season, like tennis is all year round. But running, like, where's your peak season and how do you monitor that? Who does that for you?
So my coach, he's very specific. We have set times, we work off percentages. So depending on when your season ends, we get a couple of weeks off and then we start again. So for me, I started in June, July,
Yeah.
and then we'll start competing February, just a couple races, and then essays will be in April. And then from there, I'd like to go to Europe this season, which will be June, July, August.
Nice trucks there.
Yeah, I'm avoid everywhere.
Nice gyms. But what is your motivation for doing this? Like, obviously you do it because you love it, but surely there's more, like your goals, your dreams. What is that for you?
So my goal has always been never to run in Olympics.
What?
No, my goal is to run in a diamond. That has always been my goal from day one. I've
Because
wanted
Diamond League is multiple races, not just
Yes.
Olympic one-off.
So there's diamond leagues every year, hosted all over the world. But that's always been my goal. I want to run in a diamond league, and that's pretty much my ultimate goal.
I find your story so fascinating, I really do, because I can relate a lot to the injury and now coming out. It's helped me because now I'm honestly at a stage where I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what more I can do because the injury is just, it takes toll. I mean, it's something I can't control. I mean, if I had to, let's say, go into business, obviously business, don't get me wrong, is tough, but you don't suffer from injuries, any mental injuries, but yeah, so we'll definitely be keeping in touch because I feel like I can keep learning so much from you. But thanks so much.
Thank you.
So there you have it, Amy Naude, somebody who's in the middle of their success story. As you can tell, success is not going to be easy. It's going to be hard and you're going to be faced with a lot of obstacles. But believing in yourself, believing in your work ethic, and believing in your dreams is what's going to get you to where you want to go. So Thanks, Amy, for spilling your tea, and I look forward to our new tea party with our new guests.